Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Each member is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Varga,
Present.
Commissioner Clark Coleman,
Here.
Commissioner Basham,
Here.
Vice Chair Palomero,
Here.
Chair Bell,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you so much. Can you hear and see me still?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, because I don't know what I've done to my computer, so I'm just gonna talk into this little camera here. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is day 2 of our interviews for the seat of County Commission District 2. As I stated yesterday at the beginning of the meeting, this is a position that none of us want to be in. We'd rather have our dear colleague and friend with us, but it is what the law tells us to do. So at this point, I'd like to ask our counsel, Felicia Johnson, to reiterate and state the law that brings us here today.
Good morning, through the chair. This is Felicia. State law requires that this body, the county commission, appoint an individual to fill a vacancy in the office of commission. State law further states that the individual appointed shall serve for the unexpired term, which is in this case is 2 years. And this is all in accordance with state law. This body has established a process to fill the vacancy. Notice of the vacancy and opportunity for submission of resumes was posted on the county website. Application was open from December 21st through December 28th at 5 p.m. We are now in day 2 of this body reviewing and interviewing candidates for the position that will be filled within the 30 days as required by state law.
Okay, thank you so much, counsel. At this time, I would like to just make one more statement. Again, that we are being thoughtful and deliberate in our actions, interviewing everyone, taking all of their information in, looking at their credentials. There are no favorites. There are no front runners. We are looking at this in a very thoughtful, mindful way to make sure that the best person to be in that position for County Commission for District 2 is selected. So at this time, I would like to welcome our interviewee for this morning. Our first interview is with Ms. Kimberly Cockrell. Are you there, Ms. Cockrell?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I am well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Thank you for your interest in serving District 2. And at this time, we will begin our interview process. First, I'd like to just ask you to do us a favor and give us 2 to 3 minutes to tell us about yourself.
Well, I am a Jill of all trades, so to speak. Currently, I am an educator with the Detroit Public School System, or should I say Detroit Public Schools Community District. I'm also a wife. I'm also a mother of 4 college graduates, a sophomore dealing with COVID schooling. I'm also a volunteer, a mentor, and a makeshift philanthropist. I like to share my knowledge and to share my strengths with my friends, my family, and folks who need any kind of support and help that I can give them. I'm also a former newspaper reporter, a former television writer, and I still dabble in doing some radio and television when some of my friends call upon me when they need assistance. So I'm sort of a Jill of all trades. I'm pretty well-rounded, I believe.
Very good. Thank you for that. On our Rules Committee today, we have the Vice Chair of the Commission, Joseph Palomero. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? We have the Vice
Should
Chair.
I continue?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've served on several boards throughout my adult life.
Go ahead.
I think we lost. I
Her
think-
feed is not very well. She's going in and out, Chair.
Well, that's one of the wonderful things about the technology. With Teams and Zoom, you really helps you bank on your social skills.
Okay. Did we lose her? Oh, there she is. Go ahead, Kim. You're on mute. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. If you can hear me, Kim, unmute yourself. Still on mute.
It
There you
looks
go.
like we got one of those internet waves. Sometimes when the weather isn't as kind as it should be, I know internet connections can be a little formidable. But what I would also like to share with you, that I've been on several boards, and I really believe in community service. So whether it be volunteer or even appointment, I've served my home district very well, and I truly enjoy serving community.
All right. Thank you so much. On our committee today, we have a Vice Chair of the Commission, Joseph Calamara. We have the Chair of Audit, Ray Basham. We have the Chair of Public Safety, Irma Clark Coleman, and the Chair of Ways and Means, Alona Vargas. So we're going to begin with the first question from Vice Chair Calamara.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Cockrell, for your interest in serving on the commission. What do you
Thank you for
think?
your invitation.
Thanks. What do you believe are the most important qualities and characteristics that a Wayne County Commissioner should possess? And secondly, what do you think are the most important job duties and responsibilities of a commissioner?
Well, first of all, I think one of the most important aspects of a county commissioner is a consensus builder. It needs to be someone who has a working knowledge of how to work in a team or in a family. You don't necessarily have to have a college degree to develop consensus, but it can help to be able to articulate what you are trying to accomplish as a member of a team and a team leader. I believe one of the most important things a county commissioner needs to be, she or he needs to be practical, they need to be logical, and they need to be fair, because they're going to be coming at you on the commission with lots of information, because the county has a $1.66 billion budget. There are 10 committees, special committees and task force. So they've got to be able to understand the complexity of county government, but at the same time, marry it with the simplicity of being an average person. A county commissioner needs not only to have really good communication skills, but they have to be strategic in what they want to accomplish. Because just because you represent a district does not mean that you're in isolation. Everything you do will encompass the entire other districts. In fact, one of the nicest things I can recall is when I was writing legislation about the prompt payment ordinance, not prompt payment ordinance, but it was the methadone clinic ordinance, which actually I wrote about going on 20 years ago. But that legislation, even though it was Wayne County, was mimicked throughout the state of Michigan. And basically what the methadone clinic ordinance did was, at the time, Governor Engler wanted to place these so-called methadone clinics in my district, in Detroit neighborhoods. It wasn't really a true clinic. It was more of a party store where you'd go with a prescription and the person behind the counter would give you your methadone. Just because you see the hazard container on the south side of the door doesn't mean that there was triage. There wasn't a medical doctor. There wasn't a nurse practitioner. It was just, you come in with your script, get your stuff, and leave. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you have those kinds of clinics, technical clinics located across the street from a school, next to a church, that really wasn't a good idea. So what I did is, and I worked with the veteran county commissioner, Edna Bell, who is the chair's mom, on what are some of the things we can do we want the methadone clinic. We need this rehab, but we need to put it in a better place. And state needs to give us more support personnel wise. We discovered that Southwest General, a Black owned hospital, was being resurrected. And that would probably be a better place to put that type of clinic, as well as maybe even going to a DMC affiliated facility, so that it didn't become just a one-stop shop. Because as you know, methadone is a controlled substance, and it helps folks wean themselves off the harder stuff. And so that legislation, the fact that I was able to create that, showed me that, wow, I can really relate government to the common man. And my role didn't just help my particular district, it helped the entire Wayne County. So even though, like I said, I wrote that about 20 years ago, that's why the no school zone was created, and it was mine. So again, county commissioners not only need to, have good communication skills and be visionary, they need to be decision makers. They need to, now in the internet evolution, they need to be influencers, because young people need role models. They need people that they can follow and understand, so they understand the role of government. And I have stood on the shoulders of some wonderful, wonderful mentors. Commissioner Kay Beard, Commissioner Susan Hubbard, Commissioner Diane Webb. A lot of these women I was able to learn and glean from them things that I now know are important to not just as a commissioner, but just as a leader and as a influencer. So, and then lastly, I think, coming from a family of 8, I grew up in Southwest Detroit. I have 7 sisters, 1 brother. And I learned from that interaction how to be a good team player, because what's good for me may not necessarily be good for the next person, but working together, we can blend those needs so that everybody is satisfied.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah,
Thank you.
very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next question will come from Commissioner Irma Clark-Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Kimberly, and I think for the commissioners who might not, and for the audience who might not remember, Kimberly, you served on the Wayne County Commission
Yes,
as a commissioner, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what years did you serve?
Actually, I was a lame duck. I served 1 year when my husband was elevated to the Detroit City Council. His seat was vacant, and I was blessed enough to be chosen to continue out his term. Now, his term was just a year. It wasn't a full 2 year that was just going on with Ms. Ware. But I remember, Ms. Clark, when my husband brought me to Mr. McNamara's office, and he sat and he was going to give us 15 minutes, but he gave us actually an hour and literally schooled both of us about the relationship that the city and the county has together, and how we could work together in, promoting the agenda of the citizens. Because the most important aspect of the county government is serving citizens. Most people don't know how important the county government relationship with the city and the federal government is. And while we were watching that huge train, he used to have a huge train set in his office. And it took up looked like a quarter of his office. And he just explained some of the simple things that most people don't really understand about county government. And when after getting that mini lesson, it really brought home the importance of taking care of people.
Okay, so what year did you serve?
I served, I believe it was 2007, 2008.
Okay,
No, excuse me. Talk about babies now. The actual date, I served from June 1998 to December 1998. In fact, I still have the Lions helmet and some other other trinkets from my time on that year. In that year, I did a considerable amount of legislating and working with the community and understanding the role that the county has in working with its constituency.
Okay,
In fact, one
so
of the most important, before I wrote the methadone clinic ordinance, no drug-free school zone ordinance, the exact title, is my church family was looking to move. It was Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Fred G. Sampson, pastor, the late pastor, and they were having problems with the city as well as the county and securing land on Grand River, which the new facility stands now. And so basically, I went with the church committee I had them talk with the departments about what are the glitches, what are the problems, what do they need to do to purchase the land from the county side. And after they had been, unbeknownst to me, they had been trying to get purchase that land for several years. And we had to be more expedient because at the time, Reverend Sampson was stricken with cancer, and God be praised, he was able to build a new facility before he passed. And
okay,
working with the city and working with the county, they were able to get through the glitches that existed.
okay. So where I'm going with this question is, we know that you have to be one of our major responsibilities would be as a policymaker, as a legislator, you know. But I believe, and Jewel Ware certainly believed that probably half of our time is spent in the neighborhood with our constituents. And Jewel was one that really spent a lot of time out there cultivating relationships in the community. Can you name any recent examples of your involvement?
You know what? Believe it or not, Jewel Ware was one of my
wait,
go-to women
wait a minute.
whenever I need something in the community. She was
Wait
very,
a
very
minute.
instrumental in supplying a lot of the organizations that I'm involved with
Ms. Cockrell,
food,
Ms. Cockrell,
mittens.
Ms.
Yes.
Cockrell. Let Commissioner finish her question, okay?
I'm sorry, I thought she was finished. Please
Go
forgive me.
ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ms. Clark. Please
Go
forgive
ahead,
me.
Commissioner.
That's okay. So I'd like for you to name some specific examples of your involvement that you recently had in the community, as well as maybe some that you might have partnered with Commissioner Ware.
Okay, well, again, like I was saying earlier, Commissioner Ware was my go-to person whenever I needed extra supplies or if I was called upon to support St. Dominic's Community Outreach, which sits behind the Citadel of Faith on the corner of Trumbull and Warren regularly. She regularly would participate in any of the schools that I attended, which are in my home district, supplying book bags for back to school rallies, or even for our career fairs. Some of the other things that I have done outside of working with Ms. Ware, because one of the things I loved about Jewel is she never sent a representative. She always showed up herself. And a lot of the children and the administrators were always so surprised that she would take time out of her schedule to speak to elementary and middle school students. One that I've recently done is as a facilitator for my school's International Academies community organization. We just secured $50,000 from the Ford Foundation because our school is in their catchment area, and we have a new principal now, but we had applied for any of the grants that they foresaw coming. And so 2 years later, now today, 2020, praise God, they're giving us $50,000. Another thing that I'm really, really proud of is I helped start the Chosen Mentoring Program, which currently services between 100 to 200 students. Can you imagine the Zoom phone call? We have to like divide the kids by age and by age level so that when we're talking to them, because as you can see, it's kind of small, but the children need to be able
Okay, I think that we've lost her again, but I'm done. I think that I've heard ample enough.
Okay. Ms. Cockrell, you're on mute. If you can hear me, you're on mute. We have to love this technology.
Mhm.
Ms. Cockrell, you're still on mute?
Okay,
There
I'm
you go.
trying to unmute. What I
All
want
right.
to say is one of the wonderful things is that the community organization, the Midtown Community Organization, just got a grant for $500,000 to spread out internet service. So hopefully with that grant, we won't be having these internet glitches because that's part of my home community. One of the things that we in a community meeting, we talked about seeing if we could partner with folks in the nonprofit sector to increase the internet capacity for a particular area. Because
Okay,
even though we are in the cultural center, and you would think that, you know, we're stone's throw from downtown, that we would have a stronger connection, and as well as Wayne State, excuse me. But we folks who are not a part of that Wayne State educational community, our signals are pretty weak. You know, Rocket Fiber isn't as rocket as it should be. And so I was thinking, what if the Wayne County, my district, could partner with one of the county commissioners and in fact finding how Wayne Westland uses their school buses as hotspots. Maybe the county commission can marry that idea so that the Midtown folk could, with their grant, could somehow develop hotspots so that DPS can do the same thing that they're doing in Wayne Westland. And I think with it coming from
okay.
an outside entity like a county, people will be more amenable to sharing that information because information is power. That's what I like about county commission. You can marry and match, you know, needs that other areas of the county have, and we can share information so that we can hear
Okay.
each other and communicate.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cockrell.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. We're going to go on to our next question, and that'll be from Commissioner Varga.
Thank you. Kim, I know that you served a year at the commission. At that time, it was my district. It was redistricted after that. So that's why Kim ended up in another district, and I had saved the district that I'm in for 20 years. So at that time, it was a very good thing that you did with the clinic. Now, for my part of the question, tell me your experience when you were on the commission and afterwards or before about how you prepare or what other experience you might have in preparing and analyzing budgets.
Well, being
Whether
the
it's the
mother of
county or
five,
other,
there, you know, I apply that same logic, which means we need to be cost effective. Now, when I was a project director at a DMC, I was given a budget and how I was supposed to have community outreach. And with community outreach, you need volunteers, you need refreshments, you need materials, you need clock hours for the salaried persons who are there to train volunteers. And so from that experience, from being on the county, from actually home and then the county, that helped me be a better administrator, a manager as a project director. One of the nice things about the county has a lot of educated folk who are there to school you in the ways of understanding how their budget and the budget works. In fact, I need to commend the commissioners right now for your stellar performance in fiscal responsibility, because I can see with the COVID situation happening, we're going to be seeing some harder times in the future, and not because of anything other than the fact that our economy is tanking and there's things that are out of our control. And it's just a blessing that I learned at the county level how important it is to manage people and be fiscally responsible. Because as you know, that's your main job as the county commission, is to fiscal integrity and fiscal responsibility. And so when it comes to budget management, I think I learned a lot from a personnel standpoint and from a fiscal standpoint by working with leaders like Kay Beard and leaders like Diane Webb. And don't forget, I forgot, Daddy Bob, Mr. Blackwell. He was a very, very important role in my understanding the importance of fiscal integrity and budgeting, particularly when there are problems with finances. Sometimes you get what you pay for, meaning it's not uncommon for sole sources to be the primary directive for a lot of contracts. But the key to sole sourcing is their service worth the dollar amount? Is it quality? Is it what the constituents need and deserve? Is it what we need as a county deserve? Because sole source contracts are something I'm very, very familiar with, even though I know you didn't mention that. But it's really important to know that sometimes you have to check and make sure that you're getting what you pay for.
That's a great segue to our next question from Commissioner Basham. Commissioner Basham?
Well, good morning. And
Good
welcome.
morning.
The Wayne County Commission, as you know, is a legislative body of county government. And
Yes, sir.
can you briefly talk about your experience with like reviewing contracts, and also what if the administration gave you a contract that you didn't like?
Well, you know what? When you say you didn't like, I don't know if you can like or dislike a contract.
Disagreed with. I'll change my term, but disagree with.
The financing, but fee for service. If someone's doing a good job and the quality of that contract, it deserves merit, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Problem with a contract that is exorbitant, in my opinion, if it was confirmed from a knowledgeable source within the county. Our finance department is filled with very knowledgeable and educated financiers, for lack of a better term. But as I said earlier, the commission has balanced their budget. You even have $70 million that you COVID relief. So I would continue to try to question, but not question on the merit of questioning to be questioning, but making sure that our contracts are up to par and are available and ready for us when it's necessary. I think it's important that with a knowledgeable staff and correct personnel, any questions, any things that are distasteful or uncomfortable can be made comfortable if it's legitimate.
So do you have how much experience like reviewing contracts yourself, not your staff, but yourself?
Well, you know what? I have myself, of course, as a project director, I spent 3 years managing a budget of about, I think anywhere between $75,000 to $100,000 as a chair of the Cody Rouge Alliance, as I was chair at the time that they were transferring over to a not 501c3 model. We had a budget of over $500,000. I also was vice chair on the People's Community Services, which is now, I believe, winding down because after the retirement of Tom Servinack, they haven't been as fiscally sound as they would like. I also was chair of the Wayne Center, which with the help of Isaac Robinson, God rest his soul, he was able to get the Wayne Center, which is a nonprofit specifically created to help children and adults who have disabilities. When I was a vice chair on that organization, we had a very modest budget of about $250,000, where we had to, find caseworkers, social workers, pay for rent for the facilities that they were using, pay for classes. But so my experience in budgeting is pretty extensive, from $50 to $500,000 up to I've had to manage that myself with support from obviously my staff. One of the nicest things that I've ever done and this hasn't to deal with budgeting, has to deal with fundraising. One of the things that's important to know is that one of the key things that I helped put together was when in 2008, when my husband was mayor, and we were charged with the responsibility of being with the March of Dimes, March of Babies County Challenge. And for the first time at that time in 20 years, Detroit actually won. And so I was behind that fundraising effort, and we raised for a single day $1.2 million. But for the entire campaign for March of Babies was 2.3 million. Now, mind you, that budget, it's what we raised, but the budget, the personnel, the people to put together that effort was strictly volunteer. We were blessed that Absopure company would give us containers, the water pitchers that you put the water in. I think we had every city of Detroit department have one. We had in Wayne County allowed us to have a couple of bottles, even though they were part of the challenge. But so I have an extensive background in budgeting. One last budgetary accomplishment is when, and this is where being in the right place at the right time and knowing how to put things together, is I was with my husband at a symposium in Washington, D.C., and the executives of BET were talking about their women's symposium. And they said they were going from Washington to Baltimore to Philadelphia to South Bend, and then to Madison, Wisconsin. And I said, hey, wait a minute. What about Detroit? And they were trying to give me some hooey about how they couldn't connect with anyone that could maybe handle this type of event, and just some other information. And they said they weren't really greeted and receptive to Detroit because they didn't feel that they were welcome or wanted. Well, with my experience as a county commissioner and in the context that I made, as well as being a project director for the health industry, I was able to get them to choose Detroit. And then from being on that committee, because I didn't do it all by myself, I had to ask other people to be involved. Other people asked me to be involved. I had, hey, we're doing the same thing. And so what happened, the Wayne DT Women's Symposium, which was televised internationally.
I hate to, but
I think about 40 countries.
I get the gist of what you're saying.
Across the United States, in the city of Detroit, using Detroit doctors, Detroit nurses from Wayne State, Good Mercy, and being in the right place at the right time.
Thank you, Ms. Cockrell. Commissioner Basham, thank you for that question. Thank you, Ms. Cockrell. At this time, if you can give us a 1-minute closing remark, and we'll be happy to listen to your 1-minute closing remark at this time. That might have been it. She might have. give a second just for her to say her thank yous. If she, Ms. Cockrell, come on off of mute and give us your closing 1-minute remark, because you have to come off of mute. Give her one more, come off of mute, please. There you go. Thank you. Give us your 1-minute closing remark, please. Thank you.
Well,
Go ahead.
life isn't measured by the breaths you take. It's really measured by the things that take your breath away. To interview, it would be a joy and a blessing to return to an entity that I love. I fell in love with. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the consideration, and understand that I'm here as a servant. I'm not here with an agenda. I'm not here with any preconceived notions. I want to work and learn from my colleagues, and I hope my colleagues can work and learn from me.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your interest in this position. Thank you for all the work that you've done on behalf of the city of Detroit. We appreciate you, and you will hear from us within 48 hours.
I thank you so much.
Thank
God
you.
bless everyone.
God bless you. Thank you. All right. Thank you all. Okay. And now we're going to get ready for our next interviewee. And on the schedule, we have Mr. Rick Pruis. Are you there, Mr. Pruis? You're there and you're on mute. There you go. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for your interest in this position. At this time, we're going to go straight to you. So if you could please give us about a 2 to 3 minute introduction about yourself, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to speak with you today, this morning. So my name is Rick Pruis. I am a lifelong Detroiter. Grew up on the west side of Detroit, aviation subdivision. But my pastor and my church moved me to the east side. So I've been on the east side for the last 24 years. I was able to find a house not too far from my church. So I am rooted in my community here, giving back and really developing our neighborhood over here. If some of you that are familiar, there's a lot of development going on right now, and being a part of that it's great to see where we've been and where we're going. I'm a business agent for my local union, so I'm a contract negotiator. Handle all labor disputes. I'm a problem solver. So when things come up and we have disputes, they usually bring me in to see if I can get to the answer and to see if we can find a mutual understanding, which happens quite a bit. And as you can imagine, in the city of Detroit and the history that we have and we share here. I serve on many different boards. I have many different titles that I have. I sit as the executive board on the executive board for the AFL-CIO, for the 14th Congressional District. I serve on there as well for the Skilled Trade Task Force with Brenda Jones. Brenda Jones is a very strong supporter of mine. She is somebody that we've partnered with for a long time by trying to get Detroit residents work and people in our community and in our county that are desperate to getting into careers and finding and seeking what other opportunities there are. And skilled trades really is one of those areas that people were not aware of. People did not know that the skilled trades was available to them. Some of the school systems had stopped promoting and had actually stopped funding these. So I was very instrumental in trying to make sure that we were able to capture enough resources and enough partnerships with DPSCD and with the city of Detroit, with the mayor's department, and with all of his people. We're able to, and the workforce board as well, that we're able to secure funding for Randolph Career Technical Education Center to promote the skilled trades. Now, that's just one example of many, but I on all the titles that I hold, Madam Chair, the most prestigious one that I hold is father and husband. So that is the most important role that I serve, and I hold that with great esteem. I'm rooted in my community. I mentor the kids in my community. A lot of the kids that live in my neighborhood know me as the person to come to if they want to get to job, they want to get to work. One of my apprentices, one of my pre-apprentices is actually working at the Wayne County Jail right now. 5 more of them have started working from the program that we started at Randolph. Thank you, and I appreciate the question and look forward to the rest of the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that. Next, I'll go to Vice Chair Palomero for his question.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rick, for your interest in serving on the commission. What do you think are the most important qualities that a Wayne County Commissioner should possess? And what do you believe are the Commissioner's most important duties and responsibilities?
Thank you, Commissioner, for that question. I mean, honesty, integrity, fairness, dependability, those are the most important traits that you have to have. You have to be a bridge builder. You have to be somebody that can reach across and to come to a common ground. Negotiations is not a form of weakness. You need to figure out how do you get and build support around a common interest. So that's an important, those are important characteristics. The most important job of the commission right now, I mean, as a legislative body of government, approval of the contracts, you got to be able to balance the budget and make sure that we have a balanced budget. We all know what happens. We've all seen it. I was one of the people that was, I helped negotiate and navigate through the bankruptcy. So none of us ever want to see that happen again. Nobody ever wants to be involved in that again. It was very difficult. It was very taxing, not only to everybody involved, but to the pensioners that got their pension checks cut, and people that were living on limited funds. So it's very tough times. We have gotten through the bankruptcy. We've negotiated the best we could through bankruptcy. We've partnered. We've worked on trying to make sure that continue to have a balanced budget so we don't have to ever return back there. So I know firsthand the importance of the budget. I know the importance of making sure it's balanced, and I understand you can have a lot of priorities, a lot of things that you want to do, but if the money's not there, you can't get it done. So bringing in money to the county and to the district is very, very important for the job of a commissioner. You either have to cut or you have to bring in revenue, but nobody wants to cut. So we have to find ways to grow in our economy, and a diverse economy. It needs to be encompassed of all people. There can't be people left out. You can't allow for small businesses to be excluded. We need to make sure that we've done a good job and our due diligence on making sure that when we are approving contracts, that we've went the extra mile to make sure that all of these people that have come to and have come up with these great ideas, that we've given them an opportunity that we fully vetted. So those are the most important qualities and characteristics and job of a commissioner. But I don't want to leave out maybe one of the more important things is, Commissioner, that you want to be accessible to your constituents, and they have to know that they can reach you and that you are at the community groups, you're at the block clubs. One of the things that I loved about Commissioner Ware is that she came to our block clubs. She came to all of our meetings. She was a workhorse, and she was literally at everywhere we went. I work in District 2. I live in District 2. My church is in District 2. I used to see Jewel Ware everywhere I went. So I look forward to continue that legacy. Obviously, I can't replace her, but I'll do my best on blazing my own path and making sure that people know that I'm available and ready to serve.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, sir. Our next question will come from Commissioner Clark Holman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Rick, for being here today and for stepping up and wanting to help us to get the job done. And I know you talked about, we know your background in labor, it's extensive. We also, but we know that a huge part of what Jill did in her district was working with her constituents in constituent relations. And so you mentioned that you would see her out there and attending all the meetings. Yes, she attended every meeting in her district. So I'd like to know if there were any specific things that you can point to that you might have partnered with her, or if you didn't partner with her, can you name some specific things that you've done in the community to help the people in District 2?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. You know, I live not too far from where Jewel Ware used to live. We used to see each other on a very regular basis because of the proximity to where we live. And also we used to work out together at LA Fitness. So I used to see Commissioner Ware a lot. So in the morning, first thing in the morning, she was up there at LA Fitness, working out, walking, getting her steps in. You know, I had a very good relationship with her, a very professional relationship with her. By no means am I on par with some of the other people that know her more intimately, but as a union member, as a union leader, she was always there for us, working hand and foot. You know, she used to ask us, what can she do for us? How can I help you? Jewel was one of those people that when we had events, she was always there and looking to see how we can do more partnering together. I think, you know, working together with her politically, I think was the major piece of the last election cycle with the governor's race. We worked very closely together on making sure that we, you know, got our candidate and make sure that we had some responsible candidates running. I mean, she is very passionate. She was always looking at, you know, the political calculus of getting people to the finish line. So we worked with her a lot in those areas. Our Corktown community that I serve in, I serve on 2 different boards in the Corktown community right now, on both for the business association, but also for the Corktown residents as well. So we have many different things that we do, community outreach that we do. I think one of the things that we do better than, or maybe the best kept secret may be that we mentor kids and we bring in kids to expose them to the skilled trades, bring them in, and create career opportunities for them. That's something that is probably one of the best kept secrets. We don't do a lot of you know, talking about, you know, what we do, but we do advertise and we do a good job with our skilled trade task force that goes around our entire district and around our entire region here, and you know, really making sure that people know what's available. If you can definitely you know, look at my activism in my church and what we do in our church and feeding people, and even with our local union with clothing drives and whatnot. All those things we do those things in partnership with our civic leaders. Jewel Ware just happened to be one of those people that was always available and always there for us and with us. But we had many other partners as well, as you can imagine, and yourself included, that we've partnered with many, many times over the years. Countless, you know, probably in the thousands of times that we've done things in partnership with. But I want to key on one thing that I think that most people may have not been aware of, and that's our Electrical Workers Minority Caucus, our Black Caucus. We have done, and I have been one of the people that has been a very strong supporter and have been very instrumental in making sure that we have a very diverse leadership structure. So being able to mentor up, not just, people within our organization, to find those people that have those leadership qualities and really bring out the best in people. As a leader, one of my friends, Rick, he used to always tell me, if you're not succession planning, you're not leading. And what I always got from that was that you have to mentor the next group of people up. You can't be afraid of the younger generation. You got to reach down there. You got to get involved. You got to raise them up, the next generation. So I am confident that when my time is served on the boards that I serve on, we will be in very good hands with the next generation of people that are coming up behind me that I've mentored and was affiliated with, and getting their life together so that they can be leaders in organized labor and for working people. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Commissioner Varga.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
You had touched on in your introduction on budget. In fact, you talked quite extensively on it. So my job is probably the hardest to ask the question. But how do you think you could bring your experience about budgeting to the commission?
That's a good question. You really have to analyze the data. You have to be able to depend on your team and people. As I can take experience that I've had in many different areas in contracts that I have in budgeting. You really need to set the priorities, and you really have to look at what you have. You don't want to overextend yourself, live beneath your means. You don't want to live above or beyond your means. Live within the budget, stick to the budget. So I think when you look at, if you look at the boards that I sit on currently, I sit on the Audit and Finance Committee. I sit on a number of boards where we have to review and analyze the budget, what our priorities are. And, it's interesting if you look at the pattern, we are in a much better shape. And every one of the boards that I sit on, from our workforce board to our public lighting authority. I mean, we are financially in much better shape. And I won't say that I take full credit because I'm part of a team, but I definitely have a perspective. I bring a perspective, a pragmatic approach to solving problems, and come with bring money. Find a way to bring in more money. It's always got to be the goal that trying to find ways of bringing in dollars, which I would just want to just say that, for a long time, people said, nope, we can't do it. There's no money. There's no money. But, if you really believe in something, you'll find ways of partnering with people to get that money for those programs. And one of those was Randolph. People were telling me no for years, and I'm not the only one. And there's no money. It's not going to work. We're able to find the money, bring in the revenue to get the program necessary to get people into the skilled trades.
Thank you. To follow up on that, do you believe that Wayne County should first fund the charter mandated items?
Yeah, you would have to. If they're charter mandated, I would I would think that a mandate meaning you have to.
We don't always have the money to do everything, so we just want to make sure that I want to make sure that that's the way that you would go about it as well.
Well, I would definitely defer to legal counsel and my fellow commissioners. I would not want to come onto a board and think that I know it all. I do come with a very rich and vast and diverse amount of experience, but I definitely don't want to come into thinking that I know it all, because that's just not my role. I'm definitely somebody that would be working with my commissioners to come up with the best solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our final question will come from Commissioner Ray Batcham.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome. I'm an old union guy myself. I come out of the UAW. I'm UAW retiree. But anyway, the Wayne County Commission is a legislative body of government. And we have a certain role to play when it comes to sunshine and the balance in government, those sorts of things. Individually, you have no power, but if you have 8 votes, then you're certainly in play. When it comes to things like contracts, and also maybe you could speak to, and I don't need but just a short answer. If you get a contract that you from the administration that you disagree with, and I just would like to hear a little bit more specifics about the legislative role of county government as you perceive it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Commissioner, for the question. Yeah, it's I do a very extensive amount of contract negotiations. I spend a lot of my days negotiating. So it's one of the areas that, consensus building, setting priorities, working on trying to get the common goal done here. It's difficult. It's easier now than it had been in the past. Things are getting better. And as far as I think, when people develop that relationship, they develop that trust. It's a lot easier to negotiate things, knowing that you have these common goals in mind and really setting those priorities out. When we get a contract that we disagree with, then there's those things that, you just, it happens a lot, right? It happens a lot that we have a disagreement. Figure out what things do we have in common? What is the common goal? Sometimes if you look at what things do you actually need out of this, what are the needs? Sometimes there's a different way to get to that. And when you get rid of some of the ancillary noise sometimes that happens in contracts that you deal with, where is the goal? Without having too much of a conflict, but you do things. You may disagree, but you don't let those disagreements taint everything else that you're doing. You take away from it as, listen, we couldn't agree on this, but we're going to have to work on this. And sometimes when you come back to it, they say, oh, you worked on us with this. Okay, let's work with you on this and get this done. I mean, negotiations is one of those. It's an art, not a science. You really have to have a good trust level with all the people involved. And ultimately, you want to make sure that you get the best thing for our constituents, our residents, making sure that they are the ones that ultimately benefit from this. Because if they don't, at the end of the day, then it's that's our purpose and our goal. So we need to make sure that we keep that in mind.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rick, so much for answering those questions. Now I'll allow you 2 to 3 minutes for closing remarks, sir.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the commissioners, and I know you have a very difficult job. I was one of the people that interviews and screens candidates, so I really respect the process, your charter that provides for this amount of time, this 30 days to come up with a candidate. So I respect the process and I respect everybody's time and the amount of phone calls everybody's getting. If it's anything like me, it's been just nonstop phone calls. So thank you so much for that. I just want to make sure people understand that, I'm a caregiver for my parents, from both my mom and my dad, that both are in nursing homes. I am acutely aware of and know and understand the hardships of our community, that people are suffering, that people can't see their loved ones that are in the nursing homes. I am very much aware and sensitive to that. And I understand that my parents are fortunate. They have somebody that's advocating and checking up on them and seeing them, but not everybody does. And that's something that when Jewel Ware was here, that's one of her biggest passions, making sure we take care of the seniors. So we definitely need to make sure that this vacancy is filled and we have somebody that is going to be able to take that mantle and keep our seniors protected. I just want to also make sure that people understand that, you know, I'm a well-balanced candidate. Both have our, you know, the community activism and, you know, walking picket lines and making sure that we're fighting for the right causes for our people, making sure that things are done fairly and honestly. And as a union leader, making sure that people are getting paid correctly and having, after they finish their life working, that they have a pension. This district is different than a lot of other districts. I mean, there is so much economic development that's happening in District 2. It has to be one of the highest concentrations of economic development. Really the engine that is really making this whole region go. If you look at the amount of development that you know, I currently manage right now in the district, it has just been phenomenal, and we need to make sure we keep that up and making sure somebody is knowledgeable and understands the balance of responsible development and what the community needs is very, very important. We need to make sure that we're not selling out, but we're creating good paying jobs for our residents. I'm rooted in the community. I serve in the community. I go to church in this community. Everywhere that I go, we're always looking at ways to advance our cause, advance the cause of our people, and making sure that we're providing career opportunities. You can give somebody a fish, but if you teach them how to fish, that's the way in our method is we need to make sure that people have careers and jobs. That solves a lot of our problems when people have good paying jobs. I've been serving this community for 24 years. And I look forward to serving as county commission if given the chance. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Rick, so much. We appreciate you and your interest in serving in District 2. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, and you will hear from us within the next 48 hours. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you. Okay, very good. So we are down to our next candidate for this morning, and we'll just keep it going. So our next candidate and our last candidate for this morning is Miss Carla Tinsley Smith. Good morning, Miss Smith. How are you? And you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Great.
Okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you. So
Hello.
Hello, Miss Tinsley Smith.
Yes, good morning.
I think the chair's Zoom feed has frozen temporarily. We'll wait for about 30 seconds or so, and if she's still frozen up, we will then go. What you're going to do is give us a 2 to 3 minute introduction, tell us about yourself, and then there'll be a series of questions. But I'll allow for technology to correct itself here momentarily, and if not, we will not have too long of a pause. Then you can go right into your opening remarks. So just hang on for a second, please.
Not a problem. We're all navigating this virtual world, so I completely understand. You just tell me when to go.
I will do my best.
Commissioner Palomero, this is Cynthia. The chair asked if you could take over, please.
Okay, I will do so. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Sure.
And go right ahead, Carla.
Okay, so thank you so much for welcoming me this morning. To our commissioners and community members that are on the line, I want to thank each of you for your time today. More importantly, for your commitment to service and to the process for filling this role left by a community leader, a trailblazer, a grassroots organizer, and one of my mentors, the late Honorable Jewel Ware C. Longbay. I'm Carla Tinsley Smith. I'm a wife, a mother, a native Detroiter, a daughter, a vested resident, and a professional with a broad outlook on what it takes to serve and what it takes to make communities whole. In 2008, I made a very conscious decision to return home after attending college because I had a strong desire to serve and I really wanted to make a difference in the community that had given so much to me. Since then, I've committed time, resources to local organizations that support youth development, ensuring that we have equitable and opportunities for health and health care. Of course, focusing on the families and the seniors that Jewel loved so much, as well as I have spent time developing community initiatives to reimagine neighborhoods, what it looks like to live, not only live rather, but to thrive. In 2016 and in 2018, I made a run for the Michigan House of Representatives. I think this is significant to talk about because both of those times I secured a significant portion of the Detroit vote. Why is this important? Well, House District 2 and the Wayne County Commission District overlap. They share some of the same communities, some of the same people, same families. And this is important because this was an area that I would knock doors with Commissioner Ware, that I would assist with talking about to residents and about resident issues, and even working with some of the communities and nonprofits in the area. In addition to this, I would say that my community engagement and reach is significantly strong because the Commission District covers an area where both my mother and my aunt served in elected office. I think that this is important to note because it really reflects the strong foundation that I come from, a foundation of service, a foundation of servant leadership. And it's really the foundation that I stand on today, ready, able, and willing to serve. So that's just a bit about me. If we talk about the characteristics, I talked about, I'm a mother, I'm a mother, a daughter, but I'm also an empathetic leader. And I am also one that prides myself on making commitments and sticking to them, and being a person of integrity and a woman of my word. So those are just a few opening remarks, and I welcome any questions that the commission has today.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. I will now first apologize. I got knocked off and I came back on. I did hear most of your remarks, so thank you so much for those introductory remarks. I'll go to our first question from Vice Chair Palomara.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and thank you again for your interest in serving on the commission. What do you believe are the most important qualities that a commissioner should possess? And secondly, what do you think are the most important job duties and responsibilities of a Wayne County Commissioner?
Thank you so much. That's a great question, Vice Chair Palomara. I would say that the most important qualities of a commissioner would be ones to be relatable, to be connected, and most importantly, I would say you need to be available. When I talked about relatability, I think this is important because you represent people. You are literally just a vessel to take forward the issues and resolve issues for residents. Again, you're representing mothers, fathers, grandparents, and youth. And it's important that you're able to connect and embrace and reach all of those individuals to get things done. I also mentioned the importance of being connected. You have to be connected because as a commissioner, again, you're representing communities. And you have to have the ability to connect with others to get things done. And last but not least, I would say you must be available, right? You all know, you're public servants, you're a public figure, and individuals, of course, this is a very unprecedented and unique situation, but in more normal times and in alignment with the rules, people vote for you, they elect you, and you are in place, and you need to be in place rather, and available to respond to their issues and their concerns. I believe the second portion of your question had to do with the duties and responsibilities, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So when we think about the duties and responsibilities, of course, understanding basic rules of the Charter Commission, we are the legislative body for Wayne County, and outside of what's in writing, of course, with the 15-person commission being responsible for budgets and ordinances, contracts and approvals and things, I would say one of the major duties and responsibilities is to be a gap filler. There are so many times when people in our communities just don't know, right? They don't have the resources. They want to know, where can I get this done? Where can I get that done? As a commissioner, it is crucial that we are staying connected and engaged to the communities that we serve. Enabling and empowering our nonprofits, because we know that the nonprofits are truly the heartbeat of so many of our communities. So that's what I would say as far as the duties and responsibilities. I hope that answered the question completely.
You did. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next question is coming from Commissioner Clark Holman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And good morning, Carla.
Good morning.
I have to say that I've known Carla since she was a little girl. I served with her aunt, Artina, and have known her mom, Alberta Tinsley Talabi, for many years. And Alberta also served as a Wayne County Commissioner.
She sure did.
So you've got a vast background in public service.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you just briefly mention, well, of course, you know above anyone else how much community service Jill Ware handled out there in the community. She was always, if anybody needed the lights turned on, if they needed some food, Jill was going to leave her house to go out there and handle it personally.
That's right.
So can you speak about specific community involvement that you might have had or that you might have partnered with Commissioner Jill Ware?
Most certainly. So thank you also for your question, Commissioner Clark Holman, and thank you for your years of service. You are definitely, someone that I have seen, looked up to, and I really honor, your leadership. So thank you for the question. I mentioned in my opening, talking about returning home. And I must say that even before I left for college and school and things, Jewel and I were always connected. So again, like I mentioned, I have worked with her previously on various constituent issues. She and my mom, with full transparency, they had a great relationship, right? So there may be Mother Guy in a building on St. Jean and she needed something, or there was an issue that, the heat had gone out in the wintertime, right? So what are these building owners doing? So definitely, constituent issues like that. Since my return, I have worked with her on both of her campaigns, accompanying her, knocking doors, of course, planning and preparing for her accompanying her rather, for her famous senior bingos and luncheons at the various community, senior centers within the district. And then co-sponsoring a Christmas party at St. Moran, which is right here at St. Jean and Jefferson, that attracted hundreds of seniors every year. So those are just some of the, people and community engagement pieces. On a more professional level, I would say that, Jewel was an advisor, a close advisor for both of my races for the State House. I did mention that I worked with her on her races for Wayne County Commission as well as City Council. And then one thing or actually a couple of things that I think are really crucial and important to highlight is our opportunity to work together to acknowledge youth through 2 hallmark programs that I am involved with through MAC Alive. For those of you that don't know, MAC Alive is a 30-year-old nonprofit organization on the east side of Detroit that really works to empower and uplift families, seniors, and communities. Since returning home, I've been really heavily involved in this nonprofit, and 2 hallmark, programs that Jewel and I work together on to highlight youth and encourage youth to continue, to striving for better and doing better would be Buddies in Business. Buddies in Business teaches youth entrepreneurial skills. The whole background about that is not only should our kids be able to receive a check, but it's very important that they're in a position to write a check. And then one that I'm really excited to share with you is the Young Curators Program. I'm really extremely proud of this program because it was actually born out of the MAC Alive Ambassador Art Collection. We know art, of course, due to budgets and, things sometimes out of our control, art and recreation and things have been taken out of our schools. And so in 2015, I actually co-founded the Mac Alive Ambassador Art Collection to expose youth to the arts, what it means to be an artist, the business of art, as well as to be a bridge for communities. So those are two items that I would, really wanted to highlight with you guys today. And both of those, I worked closely with Jewel to make sure that the kids were acknowledged. Jewel would show up to our graduation ceremonies, giving kids their recognition from Wayne County. And when we talk about that, I think we need to put it into perspective, the impact that telling somebody you're doing a good job. Thank you. Thank you for being exposed. Thank you for committing to the time. That's very significant. So long way. I hope that answers your question as well.
Thank you so much, Carla. It was wonderful to hear you and how much you've grown over the years.
Thank you so much. I get that a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, we'll go straight on over to Commissioner Varga.
Good morning. Nice to have you with us. Please describe any experience you've had in preparing and analyzing budgets.
Okay, certainly. So thank you, Commissioner Varga, for the question. And before I go into my experience, I want to first congratulate you for chairing Ways and Means Committee and having adopted a balanced budget in the midst of a global pandemic. We don't know the impact that COVID-19 is going to have. I know that there is so much more that unfortunately we need to really plan for, but I really want to commend you on that. Not only that, just Ways and Means overall, as I understand it, you all have adopted a balanced budget over the past 5 years. So that is definitely something to be commended. To get specifically to your question, yes, I do have basic budget knowledge. Within my professional career, I've had the opportunity to examine budgets, to negotiate contracts, and I have also, provided administrative support for, I believe I want to say it was maybe a $23 million budget. Of course, I know that that's nothing compared to, or it's small in comparison to the budgets that you guys handle. But yes, I do have that basic operating knowledge. Additionally, I serve on a few boards, nonprofit boards. And of course, within that capacity, I have oversight and influence and exposure to various budgets. So yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And our final question will come from Commissioner Basham.
Well, thank you and welcome for the interview. And I guess my thoughts are that the Wayne County Commission is actually the legislative branch of county government. In other words, checks and balances, those sorts of things. We have a specific role to play collectively. And can you talk about your experience just briefly about reviewing contracts, and also what if you got a contract that you didn't like? How would you deal with that contract?
So my experience in reviewing contracts, pretty, I would say, straightforward. I think it's always important that you mentioned the word checks and balances. So someone can give you a contract and there may be some fine lines in there, questions, terms that you may not completely understand. It's very important that you have another set of eyes and ears on that activity. So my level directly of involvement has been, looking at contracts and really always asking myself, what is the impact? What's the impact on this particular term to, the mission and goals at hand? And of course, in the capacity of a commissioner, it's what is the impact to the services that we're providing our neighbors? What is the impact to the services to, whether it be infrastructure or roads or bridges or parks? So those would be the lenses that we would need to look at. Again, what is the impact that these budgets or this negotiation could, or the contract language rather, what impact would it have? You asked in the event if there was a contract that I didn't agree with, how would I handle it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that goes back to the concept of, number one, looking at it, asking and elevating questions. Most importantly, though, with this one, I think that we would need to turn this over to the Office of Research and Analysis. And that's very important. And especially, again, this very unforeseen time and situation. That office was actually established by Commissioner Ware specifically to go deeper, right? To provide fiscal review and legislative review of contracts that come through for approval. So definitely I would lend to the expertise of that office to, provide insight into going forward. Commissioner Basham, I believe you're muted.
Yes, I'm sorry. I can still hear you. I was just,
You're all set, Commissioner?
no, I'm all set, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Most
you.
certainly, thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla, for being here. If you could just give us a 2 to 3 minute closing remarks.
Oh, wow. I feel like I expected this to be a lot of time, and I can't believe we're already close to the end. But again, I want to sincerely thank each of you for your time today. I don't want to get emotional, but I think we can all agree that I'm sorry.
Take your time, sweetheart.
We know you were close to Jules, so take your time.
Absolutely.
Take your time.
Thank you. We can all agree that none of us could imagine that we would be here today. But more so, I know that we can all agree no one will ever replace the jewel that was Commissioner Ware. Her departure has left a void that I know is being felt by each of you, her loyal staff, her friends, and the 40,000 plus residents that decided to go to the ballot box on November 3rd and vote for her. And also, I think about myself. Honestly, I don't recall any major event throughout my life that Jewel was not a part of. And I understand that you guys have a huge task ahead of you today. And I don't take that lightly. It's very important that you all position a capable, electable, and passionate person. You need a team player. You need someone to be a voice to the voiceless, someone that will get out there and hit the ground running, someone that will knock the doors, meet the seniors, connect with the families, and most importantly, follow through on their commitments. You need, pardon me, excuse me. You need someone that's going to represent this vast and diverse district, which spans from East Village, where I grew up and I still reside, Indian Village, where I was married, downtown Detroit, to where pre-pandemic we would we would go work, we would go play, and enjoy all the things that a great downtown has to offer. Midtown, Boston Edison, all the way over to Claremont and Woodward. And then I'll end with Hazelwood and Third, where my grandfather in the mid 50s pumped gas, and he was able to work up the ranks and buy George's Gulf gas station, where he worked, and he went every day until the mid 90s before his passing. If given this opportunity, I will represent the district with integrity and with honor, and act in a manner that would never bring dishonor or disrespect, embarrassment, or shame to the good work that each of you and the 10 other commissioners do every day. I know that, we talked a little bit earlier about the roles and the duties of a commissioner. We have those at a very basic level, but what are some of the things that I can bring to the table? I want to work together collaboratively as a team player to make sure that all the residents, not only of District 2, but all of Wayne County, have opportunities to rebuild, to invest. It's very important that we look at health services and healthcare delivery, and opportunities for our current employees and retirees. How are we making sure that Wayne County is attractive for people to come for, and work with us? I talked about, I think I talked about health services. I'm sorry, I'm a little flustered now. But ultimately, working together to create a brighter and better future for the residents of Wayne County. and the 43 communities that represent Wayne County. So with that, again, I truly appreciate your time today. I appreciate your commitment to the process. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you for your interest in this position. Again, we're sending condolences to you and your mom and everyone who were very close to Jewel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jewel will be proud of the young lady that you have turned into. So very
Thank
good to
you.
see you. We look forward to talking to you more, perhaps. We'll let you know in about 48 hours.
Awesome.
And again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your interest, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, at this time, I would like to, before we break for a little break into our 1 o'clock, I want to break up our public comments into 2 parts so that we get people at this time, and then we'll get another set of people at the end of the next set of interviews. So if there's anyone on the line, do we have any emails for public comments, Octavia or Pam?
No emails were received.
Okay, let's first go to those who are on Zoom. If you can raise your hand and be acknowledged for questions, and you will have 1 minute for public comments. First person I see is JW. And you can, JW, are you off of mute? Yeah, don't
He's
see.
unmuted.
JW, go ahead. You have 1 minute. Okay, while JW gets themselves together, let's go to Eric Brown. Mr. Brown? You take yourself off of mute. Go ahead, Mr. Brown, 1 minute.
Good morning to everyone. This process is one that, when I spoke yesterday, has been of a great disconcernment to me. You have 45,000 people vote on November the 3rd, and seeing the participation today, I doubt all that are on this call are District 2 residents. I am
Mr.
a
Brown?
proud member.
Mr. Brown, if you can hear me, we cannot hear you, Mr. Brown. So how about if you take one of the phone numbers?
Process as, I'm considering myself pretty much politically astute, but this process has definitely put me in the mind of becoming a little more involved. When I say involved,
Mr. Brown, if you have the agenda, if you can dial in on.
I hear you. You can't hear me?
No, you were coming in very staticky, sir. If you can call in on one of the phone numbers, and then we can hear you clearer. So I'll let you do that, and I'll come back to you, okay? So while Mr. Brown is going for a phone so we can hear him and his comment, let's go to Ms. Nicole Small.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I definitely appreciate the swiftness of this process with ensuring that the constituents of District 2 actually get a new representative sooner than later. I will say today's interviews versus yesterday, today was a lot better thus far, I will say that. But I am concerned that this body will only select one person and move that person to the commission of the whole. For instance, today you have had 2 people, in my opinion, who bring a wealth of community experience as well as development experience and budgetary experience to the table. So I'm really concerned about how this decision is going to be made with fairness and transparency. I think Rick Preuss, definitely with his development and his union background and his community service, would be a great candidate. And of course, Carla, she is definitely rooted in the community. So those are my concerns about this one body, especially based on some of the questions that were asked. We'll make a decision to only advance one person to the next steps. But I understand that I'm not a part of the commission, but I definitely think that you should reconsider advancing the top 2 candidates to be considered by the commission of the whole, unless that person with the highest vote actually be selected to be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Small. And I think we have Mr. Brown on the phone. Did he come back on the phone? I saw him with the phone up to his ear. Nope,
He
not
has
ready.
not joined.
Go back to Miss, I think we have, oh, Mr. Brown, are you ready? Nope. Okay, Miss Wanda Dukes. If you could unmute Wanda Dukes.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Wanda Dukes. I am the director of Unite Here Local 24 of the hospitality / service workers that represent more than 4,000 workers downtown, I'm sorry, in Wayne County. Excuse me, I'm kind of nervous, I'm sorry. And I am here to say today on behalf of Rick Prue and on behalf of Unite Here, that Unite Here endorsed Rick Prue as the next Wayne County Commissioner.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. Let's go to Mr. Brown. I think he's ready now. Octavia, you can unmute all the telephones. And then everyone place yourself back on mute, please.
And, you know, she just kind of kept it all going from before.
Okay, Mr. Brown, go ahead. Mr. Brown going once.
He's in mute again.
Excuse me, Chair. Mr. President,
Can he unmute his phone?
he hasn't dialed in yet.
Okay, we'll go to Miss Deborah Walker.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Deborah Walker, a lifetime resident of the city of Detroit, and I'm actually calling from my hospital bed at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, because I feel so passionately about Rick Prue as our new commissioner in our district. Jewel Ware was phenomenal, and I always tell people, you look up, there she was. I do a lot of the community organizing for my neighborhood, which is Corktown. She was always there. Rick Prue has always been there, very proactive, supporting the community, the residents, as well as business. I'm also on the board of the Corktown Business Association, as well as officer in the Corktown Neighborhood Association. Rick has been phenomenal with his professionalism, his involvement, his inclusion, and his understanding of the people's needs throughout the community. And people forget that Corktown has residents that are very diverse, from Section 8 to, you know, very expensive loft homes. And all of those residents have different sets of needs. And Rick has been there to help as a leader at IBEW. He's done a lot for the kids in the community, as well as supporting the neighborhood. He would be a great person to follow Jill Ware, not replace, because she is irreplaceable, but he would be the person that the community would benefit from the most in getting this position as our commissioner. So I thank you and appreciate you for giving me the time.
Thank you, Ms. Walker, and wish you a speedy recovery, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Davis and then we'll go Mr. Brown last. Mr. Davis, my police commissioner, Mr. Willie Davis.
Good morning, commissioners. This is William M. Davis, Police Commissioner, President of Detroit Chapter National Action Network, and President of Detroit Active Retired Employee Association. Jewel Ware was a personal friend of mine. You know, we may differ sometimes on some of the people we supported and didn't support, but I think that y'all are doing the county and the rest of the commission a disservice by not advancing 2 to 3 names. That, you know, I think anytime you have a commission and you just advance one name, that looks questionable. And we want everything to be above board. So I think y'all should be advancing at least 2 or 3 names. I think there are some outstanding people on this list that I personally like and think would do an outstanding job. Of course, there's a couple of people I think shouldn't be on this list, but have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Appreciate you. All right, and hopefully Mr. Brown is available. I see a phone up to his ear. Are you ready, Mr. Brown? You have 1 minute, sir.
He's on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I just, this process is one that has definitely got me to play a bigger role in voter education as well as government education. I am still a firm believer of the people having the right to have their voice heard. And yes, we could talk about advancing 2, 3, or even all 9 of the people for consideration. Still, at the end of the day, the voters should be the ones making this decision. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of people of the 45,000 plus people that voted on November 3rd on this call or Zoom meeting. And that in and of itself is a problem, and why I will be more involved and engaged, not just in the county, because I can assure you, District 10, this will not be a problem with regards to people being involved. But the electorate just have to play a better role in who they choose to select them. The process was there on November 3rd. Now there will be an appointment process. And in my humble opinion, that is just not fair to the individuals. My background is human resources. And even as I listened to some of the questions that were asked, I've interviewed people for a $12 hour job that had to answer tougher questions than what was given today and yesterday. That's just my perspective. But going forward, we have to do a better job, not just elected officials, but the public as a whole, to educate the electorate on the processes in place as it relates to understanding the charter, be it the state, county, city, or whatever charter. But we just have to do a better job as a people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next, we have Cindy Darrow. You have 1 minute, Cindy. You're on mute, Cindy. Unmute your phone.
Yeah, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You have 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I want to suggest, I agree with the people as far as just sending one candidate. And, but what I would recommend, and I've been recommending to the City Charter Commission, that they go to approval voting. And that's where you vote for as many people as you approve of or that you really want. And it doesn't mean that you only have one vote. Now, when you have a large field like we'd had for even for president, the Democratic primary, you get these things where they're splitting the votes between different people. And so you can game the election by loading up a whole bunch of extra people in it and splitting the vote off from your opponent. Well, you get rid of that when you go to approval voting. You can. It leaves and I think it'd be much fairer if you go to the approval voting method where every vote counts. You can vote for as many of these candidates as you want. You add up all the votes and you can find out who has the most approval, and you get more of a center candidate. It helps promote actually minority parties, and it helps give people faith in the dominant parties too. So if you want more faith in government, you've got to go to something that really shows that you're considering everybody. And I think that this would be a good time to do that, to try this out. And also I like the idea of Zoom. And even after the pandemic's over, you should be Zooming your meetings as well as having them in person, so people who can't get down to the meeting. And then you might be able to get a broader participation of the public if they start getting used to it, and they can come down there or they know how to connect with their government. But I would and they passed it in St. Louis, approval voting that first started. It's been going on for years in Australia. Those people like it very much. They've got good government. They got it in Fargo, North Dakota.
Thank you.
There's a committee.
Thank you, Ms. Dara. Your time is up. I'll let you go for
let me just finish my sentence.
Sorry.
I
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
say
Go ahead.
that they passed it in St. Louis, and they got the first African-American woman elected to the Congress for Missouri in St. Louis this last election. They also passed approval voting. So if you want to get the electorate involved where they think they've got a choice, think about changing that for the whole county so we can have that countywide, but do it in yourself. try it on yourself, and don't you see how that it would be satisfied Nicole's suggestions and other people's Brown's suggestions, that you be fair about this, because you got too many candidates to narrow it down to one when you've only got a committee of 3 there, it looks like. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Bye-bye. All right, any other comments from anyone on Zoom or on the phone?
I do.
Go ahead, Ms. McCourt.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Chair Bill, I would like to thank you and all of the other commissioners who are taking your time and vetting this process the way I think that it needs to be vetted. If we want to make changes to the charter and rules after the fact, I think that's something that could be brought up at a later date. Right now, we are trying to fill not necessarily Jewel Ware's shoes, because we know that that can happen, but we are trying to fill her position on the commission. And I think that you guys are doing a great job, and to select someone prior to hearing the rest of the candidates, I think is something that none of us should be doing. And I just wanted to commend you guys on the job that you're doing thus far. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, may I speak? I've raised my hand about 20 times.
Okay, go ahead. Who is this? Oh, Ms. Hill, go ahead, Ms. Hill.
Yes, and thank you so much. And thank you all for your diligent work on this. Interviewing 9 people in 2 days is a task that most people never have to do. And I don't really know how many resumes you all got, but I know there were a lot and you had to go through them as well. And I knew Jewel Ware for over 37 years, and that doesn't mean I'm gonna make a good Wayne County commissioner. Some of the questions don't need to be asked, but we just had an election 2 months ago, and the people spoke. They chose Jewel Ware, but the people should speak on this as well. She did not sit in this term yet, and the charter speaks to a sitting commissioner and how we replace it. So we should be having a special election in March or May so that the people of her district can be heard again. There may be some names that did not know about this process that come out and shine and may be the person that this district needs. If you look on the call, very few seniors that we've spoke of in every one of these interviews are on this call. So they either don't know about it or have not been prompted to get involved here. And they are the ones that'll be the greatest, have the greatest impact of the person chosen. So I thank you for listening, and I thank you again for all the good work you're doing. And you look cute today, Alicia. Look at that hair.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. I didn't look too cute yesterday.
Oh, it's laid today. You know, I can say some things, but it's laid today.
Thank you, Brenda. Any additional public comments before I turn it over to commissioners? Any other public comments before I turn it over to commissioners? Okay, commissioners, are there any comments before we break until our 1 o'clock interview? Hearing none, we are in recess until 1 o'clock. Thank you so much.